Today we're talking about urban electric vehicles. A buddy of mine thought he had his city commute figured out, thanks to his trusty old car. But recently he couldn't help but feel like something wasn't working. Traffic was as irritating as ever, parking was still a hassle, and with fuel prices off the roof these days, it was starting to hurt. Because here's the truth, most vehicles aren't designed for city life. They're adapted to it. Which is why today I'm breaking down the urban electric vehicles that are flipping that idea completely. Let's go. Picture something with a roof, 2 seats, a touchscreen, but it fits in a bike lane. That's the Bio Hybrid, a 4-wheeled pedelec from Germany that sits exactly between a bicycle and a car. So naturally, you gain perks like complete weather protection, panoramic roof, full suspension, hydraulic disc brakes, and a 5-inch multi-touch display with 4G and GPS, all in something you can legally pedal through city traffic. The electric motor assist kicks in automatically. A continuously variable rear hub shifts gears for you. You arrive at work, dry, fresh, not even slightly sweaty. Now here's the real question. What does something like this actually cost? Starting from €9,490, roughly $10,000. That's a fraction of a car. Zero fuel, zero parking nightmares as it takes like a third of a parking space, zero emissions, and zero license needs. The catch? Top speed caps at 20 miles per hour, so highway commutes aren't happening. But what if you want full enclosure, actual doors, and you want to arrive looking like you didn't touch a vehicle at all? The next one takes weather protection to a whole new level. Commuting in a full downpour, completely dry, seated in a racing shell, heated handlebars in your hands. That's the DRYCYCLE, a fully enclosed 4-wheeled e-bike from the UK that genuinely looks like a tiny car drove into a bike lane and decided to stay. But that's not even the best part. It comes with full front and rear suspension, hydraulic disc brakes, a reverse gear, and optional climate control, all while legally using the bike lane. You arrive fresh every single time. So what does this level of daily comfort run you? £14,995, about $19,000. And here's where it gets interesting. Compare that to buying, insuring, and fueling a second car for a year. Suddenly, it's not expensive, right? Honestly, with a top speed that sits at 15.5 miles per hour, it's strictly a city machine. But if you want something with a proper steering wheel, longer range, and still zero license requirements, the next one needs to be a part of this conversation. A steering wheel, a touchscreen, a reverse gear, and you're legally still in the bike lane the entire time. Meet the Hopper TRIKE, a 3-wheeled, partially enclosed pedelec out of Hamburg that blurs the line between e-bike and microcar in the most satisfying way possible. Here's what makes this thing wild. It has a steering wheel integrated touchscreen, a windshield defogger, a parking brake, reverse gear, and 2 USB ports. And it's still legally classified as a bicycle. Up to 40 miles of range per charge, weather protected, car-like seating, zero sweat required. And the price? €11,900, roughly $12,800. That's thousands less than the cheapest electric car, with zero insurance, zero registration, and zero fuel costs. But again, that top speed caps at just 16 miles per hour, so you know the drill. But what if you want to actually merge with traffic, freeway speeds, real acceleration, and still pay a fraction of car ownership? Because the next vehicle does exactly that. 75 miles per hour. A passenger seat, and a price tag that undercuts most used cars. That's the ARCIMOTO FUV, an American-built 3-wheeled electric that actually belongs in traffic. And this is the part that surprises people. It comes with a full fleet of features like heated seats, heated grips, panoramic roof, Bluetooth stereo, power steering, and even a full LCD display, all inside something barely bigger than a motorcycle. It's got 102 city miles of range, and with a 0 to 60 time of just 7.5 seconds, your commute just got way more exciting. Starting at $17,900, it charges easily on any standard home outlet, and even comes with a 3-year warranty and nationwide roadside assistance included. Here's the catch though. ARCIMOTO hit some serious financial trouble in 2023, so availability and support are currently uncertain. So if you want all of that performance and the confidence that it's actually in production right now, the next vehicle delivers on both. What if your commute felt like carving corners on a racetrack, but you were fully enclosed, seated in a dry cabin with zero skill required? That's the CARVER Electric, a Dutch three-wheeler with a patented tilting system that leans into every corner like a motorcycle, but rides like a car. But here's where it gets interesting. It's exempt from ULEZ and congestion charges, which means you can legally drive it in bus lanes, it seats 2 people, and it's barely 1 meter wide. We're talking 25 pence to fully charge, over 60 miles of range, and a dynamic vehicle control system that handles every lean and every corner automatically, while all you have to do is enjoy the drive. Starting from around 10,000 pounds, there are no fuel costs, no congestion fees, and no parking stress. Plus, with built-in Bluetooth audio, a 2-year warranty, and nearly 75 liters of rear storage, it even covers grocery runs like a champ. The only drawback? A 28 miles per hour top speed, so motorways are off the table. But if you want something faster, something that slips through city traffic and seats 2 people in genuine comfort, the next one is where things start to get really impressive. An urban EV that could slip through traffic like water, park like a scooter, and still seat 2 people in real comfort, all while wrapped in a fully enclosed Italian-designed cabin that's barely wider than a motorbike. That's the TAZZARI ZEROMAX, and it's built for one thing: owning the city. Because here's where it gets interesting. You get NFC keyless entry, a full infotainment touchscreen, disc brakes with ABS, and regenerative braking, all packed into something that costs a fraction of a small electric car, with motorcycle-sized parking costs to match. We're talking over 200 kilometers of range, 0 to 80% charge in under an hour, and a steel safety cell that gives you actual crash protection, not just hope. You can choose between 2 battery options and 3 selectable charging speeds, so you only pay for what you actually need. The base model tops out at 28 miles per hour, strictly urban and perfectly happy there, starting from around 13,900 euros, about $15,500. The only drawback? If you want to go faster, the base model won't oblige. But the ZEROMAX 80? That changes things entirely. And speaking of changing things entirely, the next vehicle has solar panels, butterfly doors, and a built-in crypto wallet. I'm not joking. Butterfly doors, solar panels on the roof, a built-in crypto wallet, and it registers as a motorcycle? That's the DAYMAK SPIRITUS, a Canadian-built 3-wheeled EV that looks like it drove straight out of a sci-fi film. We're talking solar trickle charging, AI-powered battery management, wireless charging capability, and even onboard crypto mining while it's parked, all wrapped up in something that somehow costs less than most economy cars. The Deluxe hits 85 miles per hour with 180 miles of range, so it's genuinely freeway capable, and it starts at $19,995, a price that embarrasses vehicles twice its size, let alone twice its price. Now here's the catch, and a huge one at that. DAYMAK ran into serious financial trouble, with bankruptcy reports surfacing back in 2024, which means actual delivery is highly uncertain right now. But if you want a vehicle that's already in production, already turning heads, and has a feature that no other vehicle on this list can match, the final one is genuinely in a class of its own, and I mean that literally. What if your car charged itself every single day just by sitting in the sun? Not a concept, not a prototype. This is the APTERA SEV, and it made its production-ready debut at CES 2025. Every horizontal surface, hood, roof, dashboard, rear hatch, is covered in 700 watts of solar cells, which works out to up to 40 free miles daily, purely from sunlight. On a full charge, you're looking at 400 miles of range, under an hour to charge, 0 fuel stops, and 0 range anxiety. All wrapped up in a vehicle that does 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. You've got a lightweight carbon fiber body and fewer than 1/10 the components of a conventional car, which means there's almost nothing to break. Starting around $40,000 sounds like a lot, until you factor in 10,000 plus free solar miles every single year. And then this vehicle starts paying itself back over time in a way no other car on this list can. The honest drawback? Full-scale production isn't expected until 2028. So, dear viewer, patience is required. And that's the list! Did we miss any of your favorite ones? Let us know in the comments. And don't just stop there. If you're more of an e-bike person, this video has got you covered. Tap it!